Cody Worsham covered the basketball program before he got over to LSU, as good as anybody in our market. Now he's a part of the digital programming market, about the digital marketing agency. I don't even know what I'm saying, with LSU, part of the digital part of the operation.
Just say digital one more time.
Yeah. Cody, good morning.
Digital.
How are you, man?
Doing well, guys. You can call me State Media. That's what Will Wade calls me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very happy to welcome on Comrade Worsham. Worsham, what about that win last night?
Doesn't matter what medium you're working for or what side you're working for. The news is good coming out of his program.
Yeah, my job's pretty easy these days with the way this team's playing and the way they played yesterday at Kentucky. That was something, guys. This team, the results are one thing, just the way they're getting it done and the toughness they show, their ability to just stick around even when they're not playing well. They never let leads get too big, and no lead is too big for them to come back from. So they're a special bunch, and hopefully they can keep building on this.
Cody, something that and I've seen you tweet about this before, but like the impact that Naz has when he's on the court versus off the court, even if he's not like directly scoring, just to kind of the overall feeling that he has. I guess, can you give us some numbers or some insight into what that impact is to then reinforce how impressive that second half was, considering he had to sit down for a lot of it?
Yeah, I haven't looked at the numbers this morning, updated since the game last night. But going into last night's game, LSU's defense in SEC play when Naz Reid was on the floor was only giving up 1 point per possession, which was, if you look at all of LSU's players, that was the best mark on the team. So what I've noticed from Naz lately, especially defensively, is he's always in the right spot. We see him take all the charges, and that stands out too. But he's really good in rotation. He gets in the right spots, and his versatility defensively. He's moving his feet so well for a big man. He's getting his hands up and contesting, and he's so big and long that it's hard to shoot over him. So he's just been so good defensively. He's so bought in on that end. I think that's what impresses me most. A lot of guys come in and, they're five-star guys and they do their work on offense, and defensively they try to let others pick up the slack. Nobody on this team does that, and Naz, chief among them. He plays as hard as anybody on the defensive end, and he's been really good there.
Cody, one thing that stands out when you watch this team play, and I think it's undervalued, maybe just to the public and the fan base, is how connected they are, how good of a team they really are, just like the essence of team that they have. I mean, like we explain it in the sense of when one guy's down, it seems like another guy picks up the slack every time it happens. Like Emmett Williams was the guy last night with his 12 points and the way that he impacted the game on both sides. But, I mean, like the shots of Naz Reid and even like the 13th, 14th guys on the bench and the way that they're engaged into the game for 40 minutes, to me is something that may go unnoticed, but when you get to March, you really can't game plan against that.
No, and you see teams like that in college basketball that when they're successful, just everybody's getting along, everybody's buddy-buddy. This team is I think, a little bit different because I think they'd be like that, whether they were 20-4 or 4-20. Will Wade invests a lot of time and energy and effort into building that culture. It's not something that you just get. It's something that's been lacking at times in the past for LSU. And look, it's human nature to I don't care how good of a person you are, how good of a teammate you are, when you're not playing well or when you're not getting the points or rebounds or assists that you want to get, it's human nature to at least part of you to kind of sulk and slump and not be the best teammate. But I just don't see that from this team. I see guys that are bought in. A guy like Emmett Williams, he only played 5 minutes in the first half. I think if you go back to the second half against Auburn, I don't know how much he played in the second half at all against Auburn. And then LSU needs him in the second half against Kentucky, and he's out there playing like a maniac and leaving his heart on the floor. So it's a special connection this team has. They've been through some things, but it's also something that Will Wade and that staff invest in and put a lot of time and effort into, and it's paying off.
What's your theory on the way they start games? I mean, they make great in-game adjustments, they make great halftime adjustments, and they seem to play better in the second half. Why are they slow starters, in your opinion?
Well, it's funny, Jordy, that at the beginning of the season it was the opposite. They were starting well. Will Wade's game plans were so good. His staff's game plans were so good. They were just kind of overwhelming teams. I think part of it is of late in SEC play. Some of these slow starts have been on the road. They've had a couple at home as well, but I can't quite put my finger on it. I think it's probably a young team that isn't quite. I don't want to say ready. I think it's a young team that's going into some of these games and not understanding the 100% level of focus that it takes, the certainty that you have to play with on both ends of the floor. And then once they get in the flow of the game, I think they kind of start to sense it and see it, and the staff is just so good at adjusting at halftime. I thought the biggest thing last night against Kentucky, though, was, they didn't change too much. They adjusted a couple defensive coverages, but they kind of stuck with who they are and what they do, and they were patient with it. And part of it, Auburn comes out and hits a bunch of threes. Kentucky comes out in the first half, and they're hitting a bunch of little mid-range jumpers, and you could press the panic button and just throw everything out the window and change up the game plan, but this team doesn't do that. They kind of understand that the percentages are going to play out, and if you stick to the game plan, it'll work out for you. So I think that's what they've done. I think the game plans have been good. I think other teams have come out and played well, and LSU's just done a good job of sticking around and sticking to that game plan and letting the numbers take over, and you're seeing the results of that.
Is Saturday at Georgia a trap?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I think with this team and the way that I mean, you probably heard Will on the post game last night, but he was talking about how he's already worried about Georgia, minutes after that win. I think this team and this staff pays close attention to that and not get caught up in that. But we'll see. It's like I said, there is a human nature element. Anytime you go and get a historic win like LSU just did at Kentucky, there's going to be a part of you that wants to celebrate that and enjoy that and maybe take your foot off the gas a little bit. So I think Will, I think his assistants, I think even the leaders on the team understand that that's human nature, and they're going to do everything they can to combat that. But road games in the SEC, this team's been good on the road. I think it galvanizes them. They're 6-0 now in the conference on the road. So that's probably better that it's on the road than at home, just so they don't get too comfortable.
Digital media reporter over at LSU Sports. So you can get the stuff at lsusports.net. Boot Up, latest podcast. When's the next one going up?
Yeah, I put one up last night after the game, just kind of a quick reaction. And hopefully tomorrow we'll sit down with one of the players and do an interview. They're off today. They get a well-deserved off day today. So hopefully we'll sit down with Spidey tomorrow and get that out either Thursday afternoon or Friday morning.
Can't be an LSU basketball fan and not be subscribed to the Boot Up podcast. It is it's great stuff as far as the information on the team goes. Cody Worsham is the publisher and host of that podcast, and he's with us every Wednesday morning during the season. Thanks, man.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Back to close it out here on OTB.